Dear students, today we are discussing a model question paper of not very high standard or not very simple also. This is a good practice. It will make you more perfect in facing the final examination. So it is expected that a student should answer at least 5 to 6 mock tests on CET. So in that direction, this video may be of greater help to you. Students, make a very attentive vision of this video. In each question, after reading the question on the screen, we expect you to pause the video for about 20-25 seconds. Try to answer each question on your own. After that, anyhow we will work out the same question. You can see my working of that question and I will give you the correct option and you can verify the answer you have got with the answer that we propose. Okay? With this small introduction, we shall start answering a mock question paper on CET, or it can be for NEET also. Okay? Question number 8. It has appeared on the screen. The most unsymmetrical and symmetrical system of crystals are respectively. Students, this question has been taken from solid state. In the solid state chapter, you have been told that there are 7 different crystal systems. No need to remember all these 7 crystal systems because it is a memory based question. So we don't tax you too much on this particular aspect of solid state. It's enough if you remember out of these 7 systems, which crystal system is most symmetric and which crystal system is most unsymmetric. Look here, cubic crystals are the most symmetric crystals because, yes, their length, breadth and height are same. A equals B equals C. And then their crystal angles, each of them will be 90 degrees. Therefore, cubic crystals are the most symmetric crystals. Example, NaCl, KCl, etc. Then, triclinic crystals are the most unsymmetric. None of them are equal. A not equal to B, not equal to C. Alpha not equal to beta, not equal to gamma, not equal to 90 degrees. Okay? Most unsymmetric. So obviously, we have asked unsymmetric first, symmetric later. So the answer is triclinic and cubic. Option D. Question number 9. Read that carefully. Again, this question has been taken on solid state. Simple question. Percentage of free space in cubic close packed means CCP structure and body center packed structure BCC or respectively. Yes, this also will be discussed in the class very in detail. Look, for simple cubic crystal packing efficiency will be 52.4%. For BCC, body centered cubic, 68%. For CCP, CCP is also known as FCC, both are same. It is 74%. This year you have been remembering even for your board examination. Simple cubic 52.4%, BCC 68%, and CCP or FCC 74%. Look, we have not asked packing efficiency in the question. Free space, this much space is occupied. we have asked you to find the free space. In BCC, free space is 32, 100 minus 68. In CCP, 100 minus 74, 26. So in CCP it is 26%, still empty space is there in the unit cell, and in BCC it is 32%. Obviously the answer is 26% and 32%. Yes, option B. 48% is correct only for simple cube. Now for this question, the answer corresponds to option D. Question number 10. Which of the following point defects are shown by AGBR crystals? Schottky defect, Frenkel defect, metal excess defect, metal deficiency defect. Look, by reading the very questions, you can make out, look, ionic crystals, again I am going back to the theory portion. You have been told that ionic crystals only exhibit point defects, namely Frenkel defect and Schottky defect. Frenkel and Schottky defect. Frenkel defect and Schottky defect. There are some conditions. In fact, you should know the condition also. For Schottky defect, the condition is the cation and anion of the salt must have almost same size. No much difference. Condition number 1, no much difference in the size of cation and anion. Condition number 1. Condition number 2, high coordination number. If these two properties are there, then the salt shows Schottky defect. For Frenkel defect, coordination number should be low. The cation should be quite small compared to anion. If these two conditions are satisfied, then it will show Frenkel. For Schottky defect, examples are NaCl, KCl, etc. Even AgCl. For Frenkel defect, ZNS is a very good example. ZNS, ZNO, etc. Look, AgBr is a very peculiar ionic salt. We don't get such salts frequently. Very few salts of the type AgBr exist in nature. AgBr satisfies the first condition of Schottky defect, that it has high coordination. So we expect AgBr to show Schottky defect. It has also satisfied one condition of Frenkel defect. Ag plus is too small compared to Br minus. Ag plus has got superoctet structure, D10 structure in the last shell. Therefore, its size is too small compared to Br minus. There is a wide difference in the size of cation and anion. Cation is too small compared to Br minus. Therefore, it has satisfied one of the conditions of Frenkel defect. Therefore, AgBr shows both Schottky defect and Frenkel defect. I have given you the reason also. So, yes, obviously the correct option is A. Both A and B. Students, we have discussed 10 questions so far. I am yet to discuss at least another 20 questions in this session from the same question paper. Meanwhile, we shall take a small break from chemistry. Not that we are taking a break, we shall take a small break in chemistry and discuss something not very directly related to chemistry, but very much related to say our daily life. Students, this is the first batch of students that I have been seeing in my experience. They are facing a peculiar problem in the country. We had never seen the examinations being postponed this many times in a year. So obviously all of you know the reason. It is the COVID-19 which is causing a great problem in our daily life. Okay? In what way has it affected the student life? As a student, you must be knowing much better than me. Number one, a state of uncertainty. When will be our examination? In fact, in Karnataka state, the board examination itself is not complete. One paper is still remaining. And after that, valuation to be done. Afterwards, results are to be announced. Your CET and NEET examination and JEE has to be conducted. Ranks have to be declared. All this, see, getting postponed. Okay, it is unavoidable. You see, we are forced to face this situation. This situation should not lead to a decrease in the momentum of preparation of a student. The student should not get depressed by such situation. In fact, we should take it as a challenge. Yes, nature has given us more time for preparation. Unlike the students of earlier years, COVID-19 is a blessing in disguise for students because we have been provided with lot of time to get ourselves prepared, number one. Second thing is, you are forced to remain in your home. Otherwise, you would have definitely wasted time wandering outside, meeting your friends or relatives, or witnessing some films or like that. So now you are forced to stay back at home. Please stay back at home. Otherwise, you know the risk that you will be taking. And the students of your age, say between 16 and 18, they have got too much body resistance. COVID-19 will never affect you, but that doesn't mean that you can lead a life of your choice. At the same time, you should be very careful. If unfortunately, if any student gets this infection, do you know how much effect it is causing on your future? You will be, yes, hospitalized, and you have to stay for 14 days separated from the family. Meantime, suppose the exam date is also there, you will be missing that date. That means all your preparation for 2 years will go as a waste. So students, be careful till your exam is over at least. Strict to the rules that have been laid by the state government and central government. Stay back at home, eat good food, take rest, walk. See, if you need walking, better walk in the road or nearby your house or within the compound. Drink hot water. Eat as much vegetables and fruits as possible, and all those things have been laid down in the government notifications. Okay? Be careful about your health. Health is something very precious, especially for a student. Suppose the student falls ill at the time of the examination, it will be a great loss. Everything will get disturbed. You have prepared for all these 2 years. Just for a small negligence should not cost our future that badly. Okay? Please take care of your health. Please adhere to what your parents and elders say. Stay back at home and study as seriously as possible and make use of this situation. Okay? Students, just to be away from our boredom, we have discussed this important factor. Look, I will tell you one small incident which I have seen so many such incidents. I will quote one such incident so that you will not, be very negligent about your health. Way back, about 20 years back, I had a student and he was very much interested in pursuing medical education. He was very much interested in becoming a doctor because the student had a strong social commitment. He wanted to serve the society. He felt that as a doctor, he has got a lot of opportunity to serve the society. He was very intelligent and he was capable of scoring more than 98% in all the core subjects. He was also capable of scoring quite well in entrance test also. 20 years back, we did not have NEET exam. So the Karnataka CET was sufficient to get a seat in medical. Do you know what happened? On the day when he had mathematics theory examination, he went to the college by cycle, took his friend along with him, double ride. They were discussing something, I think, while coming to the college on the cycle. When they are about to reach the college, unfortunately there was a skid and both of them fell. This particular student had a very bad fracture in his hips. He became almost immobile. He was taken to the hospital, kept in ICU. For 15 days, he took treatment and then came back. So he missed his theory paper, he missed his medical seat that year. Of course, he struggled for one more year, and the coming year he was able to make up and get a medical seat, and now he is a very famous doctor. But one precious year he lost because of his slight negligence. So even a small mistake costs very dearly. So on the day of exam or few days nearer to the exam, one should be extremely careful, should not attempt to take even a small risk as far as health is concerned. Be careful. I have got so many incidents in my professional life about such things. Whenever time permits, I will tell you such incidents in between. Now we shall come back to the subject. Yes. Question number 11 has appeared on the screen. Read it. This question has been taken from the very first chapter of first PUC Physical Chemistry, Basic Concepts. You have been asked to work out molarity of the solution. Yes, recollect, molarity is number of moles divided by volume of the solution in liters. Yes, volume of the solution in liters. We have not given in liters, we have given in milliliters. Milli stands for 10 to the power of minus 3. 100 into 10 to the power of minus 3 is 10 to the power of minus 1 liters. So we have substituted correctly for the denominator. Number of moles, we have given you number of molecules. 6.02 into 10 to the power of 20 molecules. Number of molecules. Number of molecules becomes moles when it is divided by another number, namely Avogadro number. 6.02 into 10 to the power of 23. So this comes to 10 to the power of minus 3 moles. When molecules are given, divide by Avogadro number to make it moles. So it is 10 to the power of minus 3 moles. Yes, simplify, it will be 10 to the power of minus 2 or 0.01 molar. So the answer is B, Bombay, B. Okay? Question number 12. Yes, read this question. 30 ml of hydrogen and 20 ml of oxygen react to form water. What is left at the end of the reaction? For such questions, you have to write the balanced equation. 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2O. Both hydrogen and oxygen are gases. These numbers that we have used are called stoichiometric coefficients. In all balanced equation, they indicate moles. 2 moles of hydrogen, 1 mole of oxygen, 2 moles of water. For gases, they also indicate volume. Also, they indicate moles. They also indicate volume. 2 volumes of hydrogen require 1 volume of oxygen for complete reaction. If you take 2 liters, it is enough if you take 1 liter of oxygen. If you take 30 ml of hydrogen, you need to take only 15 ml of oxygen. For 30 ml of oxygen, hydrogen, 15 ml of oxygen is sufficient for the reaction to complete. But we have taken 20 ml. That means we have taken oxygen in slight excess. How much? 5 ml. That remains, yes, unreacted at the end of the reaction. Oxygen is left, how much? 5 ml. So, option is D. D for Delhi, D. 5 ml of oxygen. So, such questions are very frequently asked. Question number 13. Read it carefully. Relationship between energy E1 of the radiation with wavelength 800 angstroms and another radiation of wavelength 1600 angstrom. The energy of this radiation is E1, this radiation is E2. With wavelength 1600 angstroms is E1 equals 6E2, E1 equals 2E2, 4E2, half E2, etc. here. Remember, in electromagnetic radiations, more the wavelength, less the energy. More the wavelength, less the energy. So, the energy of radiation with 800 angstroms is more than energy of the radiation with 1600 angstroms. More the wavelength, less the energy. In fact, wavelength is twice, means the energy of this radiation is more than this by 2 times, means E1 equals 2E2. So the energy of the first radiation is 2 times that of second radiation. Wavelength is doubled. Energy is halved. Wavelength is doubled. Energy is halved. Wavelength is tripled. The energy becomes 1/3, like that. So the energy of this is half of this. E1 equals, E2 equals half E1 or E1 equals 2E2. So option B is correct, and yes, one point that you have to make note is more the wavelength, less the energy. Yes. Question number 14 on the screen. Again taken from first PUC chemistry portion, atomic structure. Radius of the first Bohr orbit of hydrogen atom is 0.53 angstroms. First Bohr orbit is denoted by R0. First Bohr orbit of hydrogen is denoted by R0. What is the radius of the third orbit of He plus? That is the question asked. We have a simple formula for this. Rn equals, you better write this formula, R0 into n square by z. That is the formula. Rn equals R0 into n square by z. You have been asked to find R3, radius of the third orbit. R0 is given 0.53. N square, n is 3, n square will be 9. Z, atomic number. Helium is the second element in the periodic table. First element is hydrogen, next is helium. Its atomic number is 2. Z stands for atomic number. Simplify this. Approximately I will take this as 0.5. 0.5 into 9 is 4.5. By 2 is 2.25. The answer should be close to 2.25 angstroms, and that is option D. 2.38 angstroms. So this is how you must manage your exam also. You should not unnecessarily waste by multiplying 0.539 etc. etc. Take 0.53 approximately as 0.5. 9 into half is 4.5 divided by 2 will be 2.25. Answer will be close to this. Yes. Suppose two answers are very close, 2.38 and 2.441 like that. Then you have to take trouble in multiplying actual multiplication and verify. Otherwise not necessary. Question number 15. The negative electron gain enthalpy of halogens follows the order. What is electron gain enthalpy? Yes, it is the change in the enthalpy when an electron is added to an isolated gaseous neutral atom. That is called electron gain enthalpy. You know that in the periodic table, halogens are the elements having maximum negative electron gain enthalpy. Negative electron gain enthalpy. Delta EGH is negative for halogens. Negative indicates that halogens have got the highest tendency to attract electrons. They like electrons. Among the halogens, we expected fluorine to be the most, say electron gain enthalpy should have been most negative for fluorine. But actually it is chlorine which has got the highest negative electron gain enthalpy. Among the four, chlorine has got the highest negative electron gain enthalpy, means highest attraction towards electron. How come? We expected fluorine. Fluorine is the smallest halogen. It has 2p orbitals. This has 3p orbitals. 2p orbitals are very close to each other compared to 3p orbitals. Therefore, there exists pp revulsion. There is repulsion between the p orbitals is more in fluorine than in chlorine. Therefore, entry of an electron is opposed by the p orbitals of fluorine. As a result, electron gain enthalpy of fluorine is slightly less compared to chlorine. So, chlorine is the one having the highest electron, negative electron gain enthalpy. Then comes fluorine, then comes bromine, then comes iodine. Iodine has got the least negative electron gain enthalpy. First is chlorine, next is fluorine, next is bromine, next is iodine. Option D matches with this in our question. Thank you, students.